Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast with your hosts, Mike Walters and Eddie Jones. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Well, welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Jones, and we have a good show for you this week. We're going to talk about the Ducks playing the Oilers, the Devils, the Kings, and they did pretty good. What we thought, that they'd win 2 out of 3 of the games, and that's what they did. So we'll recap that and go through all of that. We'll talk about the Sarbosa trade. The Ducks also recalled Kasse and Theodore this past weekend, so we'll get into that. We'll preview some games coming up this week. We'll also talk about a new All-Star rule. You've heard of John Scott. Well, there's a rule that's out there, so we'll go into that a little bit too. And we'll also talk about Las Vegas, as they're going to pick a name for their team, and that's going to be announced this week. So we'll get into a whole bunch of stuff this show. But first, we're going to go back to the beginning of the week. When the Ducks played the Oilers, Eddie, the Ducks needed to win this game to get back into to get into first place for the first time, and they took it to them. They actually listened to our podcast, I'm pretty sure, last week. They put in Manson and Lindholm together on the blue line, like you said and I said. So they came out there and they shut down Connor McDavid, the All-Star. He did have a hat trick later this week, but against the Ducks, he didn't do much. But the Ducks did well in this game, Eddie, and they took him out 4-1.
Yeah, and Kesler and Vermette together kind of teamed up to take down Connor McDavid in this game, and McDavid was held to only 42% on the faceoff, and he was a -1 in this game, so that was obviously a big part that we talked about, is if you're going to beat the Oilers, you're going to have to shut down McDavid in that line, and then from there on, it's a lot easier game to play, and we've seen Kesler do that before. I mean, he thrives at going against the other team's best opponent, so a big game by him. Obviously, he gets his 7th on the power play too, and the Ducks scored pretty early on in the game too, 7 minutes in. Nick Ritchie got a goal off a nice pass from Getzlaf, so they got off to a good foot there. And they just played a solid game throughout. Gibson had a pretty good game. Again, we've mentioned this before. When you win 4-1, you don't always notice the goalie, but the Oilers outshot the Ducks 35-27 in this game. So for Gibson had to be strong, made 34 saves, and had a strong game. And this was a big start. We said this is going to be probably the hardest game of the 3 when we did the last podcast, and it was going to be a 4-point game and good to get the homestand off on a good foot, and a big win, and it carried over.
Yeah, I mean this game was good all the way around. The Ducks scored first. They built up a 3-0 lead in the second period. And they pretty much scored all the goals in this game. Edmonton was credited with 1 goal, but it was really Cam Fowler scoring, on the Ducks on accident. He redirected the puck into the own net. So Edmonton really didn't do much this game in terms of, scoring wise. I mean, like you mentioned, they did have more shots. They had 4 power play attempts. They couldn't get anything going on the power play, and the Ducks looked good. They played very well in this game. They started well. They finished well. And this was a big win. The Ducks pulled within, the same amount of points as Edmonton in this with this win. So we wanted them to come out and start off the week, and Edmonton had kind of been on a slide, and the Ducks kind of continued that, and everything looked good. I think probably the only thing in this game maybe was just the faceoffs. The Ducks just barely got the edge in this game at a 51-49%, but other than that, they looked good overall.
Yeah, and that's mostly just. Getzlaf struggled. He was only 33% in this game, and he would have taken a fair amount of faceoffs, so that's probably contributed to that. And also Sarbosa was 29%, so 2 of your guys are below 40%, which contributed to that. Obviously Vermette was great. He was 77%, and Kesler 52%. But, they still did narrowly win the face-off battle. It didn't seem to play a huge issue in this game. Even Gibson got in on the scoring and picked up an assist on Fowler's goal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was probably all around one of the most solid efforts of the Ducks on the season. And, they looked to carry that on. They also played New Jersey this week at home. New Jersey came into town. They also actually outshot the Ducks in this game. But, the Ducks got in trouble in this one in the second period. Our good old friend Devontae Smith-Pelly scored a goal. Smiley face, as I like to call him, as some of you may know what I'm talking about. But he and Quincy got New Jersey up 2-0 in this game. But then the Ducks, the Swedish attack came out in the second period here, and Raquel and Silfverberg scored 2 goals within 16 seconds. In the final just under 3 minutes to go in the second period, pulling this game within 2-2. And of course, Kesler comes through in the third period with the game winner. But what a game! This one, we talked about the Ducks coming back and how they've had a hard time doing it, and they finally did it in this one, Eddie.
Yeah, and really, this was against New Jersey team who had won 5 in a row. They were sitting, in the top 2 for goals against per game. And when they went up 2-0, you're like, there's only half a game left, and this is a team who rarely allows too many goals against. Corey Schneider's in net. You didn't really see a way back, and then something that the Ducks really haven't been able to do this season is come back and win a game. And they get 2 goals within 60 seconds, and obviously that's going to help in it. And it was big for them to get them right at the end of the period there. And their play carried over into the third period, and they left it kind of late, but Kesler got it, and just a really big win for them.
Yeah, and a couple interesting stats came, as a result after this game. One of them is, and we've noticed with the Ducks this season, is every time the Ducks score 3 goals, they win. And ironically, all of their wins, they had 3 goals or more. So I guess the magic number pretty much for the Ducks this season is score 3 or more goals, Eddie. I mean, that just seems to be the thing they need to do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's safe to say anytime you have 3 goals, you have a good chance to win. But like you said, it's been the magic number for the Ducks this season. They've been 9-0-0 when they've scored 3 goals, and I mean that should be something they'd be looking to do. Obviously you're not going to consistently score 3 goals on every night, so they're going to have to look to win games 2-1 or 1-0, or they're going to have to win low-scoring games eventually. But when you can get that kind of run going, it's always good. So the team knows if they get 3, and you've kind of got that mentality now that once you score 3, you can shut it down from there, and you know how to win.
And another crazy stat that came out of this that was mentioned in some of the articles out there is since Kesler came to the Ducks, during the regular season, when he scores at least 1 goal, the Ducks are 20-0-1, Eddie. I mean, talk about another thing that they need to do, at least, when they're at home, is, hey, let's make sure Kesler gets a goal. And, the Ducks are almost unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you don't kind of believe it until you see the actual stats and the numbers behind it. I mean, it's a crazy record for them to keep up. I mean, for the games that he scores and to only lose 1 and lose it in overtime or a shootout is just insane. And 20 wins. I mean, they should be feeding him the puck more often. He should be taking those 15 shots a night. So then if he gets to score a goal, then we can win pretty much every game. But yeah, it's just one of those weird things that it kind of just happens, and it's an interesting stat to look at.
We should pick up the phone. We need to call Randy Carlyle and tell him, hey, Kesler needs to play as much as possible at home, okay? That's just it. That's how we need him to do, okay? Just put him out there as much. Don't worry about Getzlaf and Perry. Yeah, that's cool. They can play less, okay? Let's put Kesler out there as much as possible at Honda Center. But no, yeah, it's a crazy stat. And thank God the Ducks are able to come back and win this one. Good come from behind win. The only down note in this game really was, Camarosa got hurt. He accidentally ran into Raquel in this game. And that's what ended up with the Ducks, recalling Andre Casse this weekend. So that was probably the only down part. He still has a lower body injury and is listed to day. So that was probably the only downfall in this game, Eddie. But, the Ducks look good this week. They won the first 2 games. We wanted them to at least get 4 points this week. They did that. And then they go into the last game, on our podcast that we're going to talk about against the Kings. And it looked like everything was set for the Ducks to win this game, Eddie. The Kings had played the night before. Budaj had played the night before. He went back in net again. Kopitar is still not back. Quick is still out as well, as you know, for a while. So you think the Ducks are going to have this game on Sunday against the Kings, and we're going to take this one, right? No. The Ducks come out flatter than a board. I don't know what happened to them in the first 40 minutes of this game, but they did not show up. They go down 3-0. I don't know what they did in the locker room in between the second and third period, but they drank something or got yelled at or something, and they woke up, came out the third period, and nearly tied it up. They got 2 goals, almost the third. They had 1 goal that was called back because of a quick whistle, but it's just you just can't do that, Eddie. You can't play 20 minutes, especially after going down 3-0. 2 periods later.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they did wrong in this game. The penalty kill wasn't great in this game. Carter scored 2 power play goals. They couldn't contain him tonight. His line, and obviously again he had 2 on the power play, but he did have the assist on Doughty's goal as well. So his line dominated this game. The Kings dominated, like you said, until the third period. At one point they were out shooting the Ducks, I believe, like 22-6 or something. So for a team that played last night, it looked like the Ducks were the team that played last night.
Exactly.
And you look at how many power play chances the Ducks had. They can only finally score one when Raquel scored. They had 7 chances. I mean, against a team who arguably doesn't have their best penalty killer in Anze Kopitar, and you get 7 chances and you only score 1 goal. I mean, they could have used a couple there, and the power play has been pretty good so far this season. So, and even the penalty kill. So it was a kind of a flip-flop game here. They dominated in the faceoffs. Vermette was 95% on the faceoff in that game, which was insane. But they just couldn't get anything going. Like you said, they were just flat. The second period was really bad for them. They had a point there where Carter scored back-to-back power play goals in under a minute. So, you can't take penalties against a team like that, and especially in that quick, that quick after the other one. Like you said, they came out good in the third period, but when you put yourself down 3-0, it's hard to score 3 goals in 20 minutes. They almost did it, but it's a hard hole to get out of.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you get down 3-0 like that, and I remember some people that were there were even saying, what is this, Game 7 all over? And I'm like, oh man, please don't bring that back to me. I didn't sleep for 2 nights after that game. I'm like, let's not talk about it. This is just a regular season game, thankfully. But it was kind of frustrating because at least as of, when we're recording this, it's a 3-way tie between the Oilers, the Kings, and the Ducks. So, another one of those 4-point games. But like you said, the killer to me in this was not just the slow start, but the special teams. The Kings power play is one of the worst in the league. It's like 27 or 28th or something like that when this game started. And they scored 2 out of 3 times on the power play. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. And then, like you said, the Ducks had the power play 7 times. And in the first 3 power plays, they only had like 1 or 2 shots on net in the first 3 power plays chances of this game. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's a full moon or what was going on, but you really thought the Ducks were going to come out and play a much better game, and everything was like a role reversal. I mean, the only bright spot was, like you said, was Vermette, who I guess set a record, 21 faceoffs he took, and he won 20 of them, which, according to Eric Stevens, is the best single game marked by the Ducks since the 97-98 season. So, yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
he's been doing it all season, and I think that that was the main reason that he played 20 minutes, over 20 minutes last night. Wasn't too many Ducks who played significantly more than him. Only Kesler played over a minute more than him, and he was right up there with Silfverberg and Perry and Getzlaf, and he was playing great last night. He grabbed a goal, like you said, 20 for 21 on the face. There's a reason that he's number 1 in the league right now, and that's why. And the fact that he's still put up points, he's got 4 goals, 9 points on the season. I didn't expect that from him. And then we obviously knew he was great at faceoffs, but to have 9 points in 19 games and to have him top of the league in faceoffs, he's been a nice surprise this season so far. But yeah, like you said, it is disappointing. We expected them to jump on them quickly, but you couldn't contain Carter, and the Ducks just couldn't get going. And you're gonna have games like this. It's just disappointing when a Kings team without Kopitar, without Quick, coming off a game the night before.
Yep.
It's just it's a disappointing loss, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, frankly, it's unacceptable. Yeah. I mean, and usually I don't go that level, but we talk about the team and the highs and the lows, and that game. I mean, after the 2 periods, I think everybody in my section was pretty pissed. I mean, I usually refrain because I'm walking around with the DucksNPucks jersey. I don't want to get too crazy, but it just was bad. Those first 2 periods. I mean, the first period, was 0-0, but they were getting dominated on the shots. They just, luckily, Gibson kept them in it in the first period, and then the second period, just all hell broke loose. So it was definitely a frustrating game, to say the least. That's just the only way you can really look at it. The only thing I do think about this is, you and I talked about Manson and Lindholm being together. And, Lindholm shined in this game. He did have a couple of assists, finally getting some points going, like you and I talked about. Last week was kind of a warm-up, and this week now he's getting more into the offense as well. But I think the Ducks on the other pairings, had some trouble. Bieksa was sick the night before. He didn't look well. We're going to actually talk about a fan question about that a little bit later. But he and Holzer didn't do too great. And then you had Fowler and Vatanen as the other pairing, and Vatanen got ran over a few times. To be frank, they just didn't look good. Some of the pairings weren't really doing well, and it's something that I would like to see him change up. I think if you're going to go against a tough team, you and I agree, Manson and Lindholm have to stay together. But I think you got to split up Fowler and Vatanen if you're going to play a more physical team. If you're playing a speed team, keep them together. But I think that's something that maybe they should look to adjust down the road, Eddie.
I think I just don't think they should play together at all, and they're just the two defensemen on the Ducks who are going to fly the zone more often. They're going to get out and they're going to try and make plays offensively. Those are the two most likely guys to do that. When you play them on the same pairing, they both can't do that. They both, one guy's got to stay back and and that just kind of messes with their game a bit. Then they've got to think, well, can I go? Is he going to be back there? We laughed a bit about having Lindholm playing with a boat anchor and either Bieksa or Stoner, but for Lindholm and Manson, they complement each other. Lindholm can be a little bit, more creative offensively. He's not at the level of Fowler and Vatanen, but he had 2 assists in that game and he played a solid game. And Manson, he had 6 hits. He was throwing the body around on everybody in that game. They're allowed to play their games when they play together. But when you play, Bieksa and Holzer together, that we all know that them together isn't going to do too great. We don't expect much from them, but it's not a pairing that makes sense, and I don't think we've seen it that often. I don't know many times that I've really seen them both play together. But it's an odd one, and I don't know why it wasn't split up. During the game, they weren't getting much going, like you said, and they just need to know that there's that guy who's going to be back there, and I think they could have benefited from Fowler playing with one of either Bieksa and Holzer and Vatanen playing with the other one. I think it would have been beneficial for them in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have definitely, maybe they would not have won, but it would have been maybe a little bit different. They did come out kind of flat, and ultimately that's what, got them the loss in this one. And, after this game, the Ducks, they did have Theodore ready. They had, brought him up over the weekend too, and they didn't put him in. So it's going to be interesting to see how the blue line shapes up this week, Eddie, because, according to the practice report today, some of the beat writers that were putting out some of the info, Carlisle's considering putting in Theodore this week, which I know everybody's excited about if he plays. But my question for you is, if they put in Theodore, who did they take out?
I don't know. Stoner still apparently has a lower body injury, I believe, and
yes,
he's
correct.
out right now. You would assume it would probably be Holzer. They played against LA with 4 right-handed defensemen. Holzer seems to be the guy who's interchangeable. Manson's played good, Lindholm's played good. You don't move Vatanen and Fowler out of the lineup, and it's rarely there's a time where Bieksa doesn't play unless he's sick or he's hurt or anything like that. So I think if come the game tomorrow against the Islanders, if Bieksa is still sick or not feeling 100%, then maybe he comes out. But I think the realistic option is Holzer. Holzer played 12 minutes against LA. That was the lowest of any Ducks defenseman in the game. And like I said, he is technically the 7th guy. You would assume if Stoner was ready for this game, he probably would have played instead of Holzer. So the most likely guy to check out for Theodore would probably be him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Holzer would be the one to check out, unless Bieksa is still not, feeling 100%. Because I don't know. We'll get to it on some of the fan questions, but he didn't look well. But then again, the team didn't look well.
Does he ever look 100% though?
Yeah, and you know what? The people around me were they were pretty adamant about their opinions about Bieksa and the way that he's been playing or not playing. Which brings us, to the fan questions, which, is a good part of the show that we like to talk about because, we get to interact with everybody out there. You guys send us some good questions. We have some funny ones and some interesting ones this week. But, talking about the performance of different players and whatnot, we have one here from Darren. He asks about Corey Perry and what do we think about his performance. He talks about Perry being a machine in the World Cup. And, he's on this he asks, is the second line delivering, enough? As far as the way the Ducks are going. I mean, I have mixed feelings about Perry. I mean, lately he's not been scoring goals. The last 11 games he hasn't scored. The last one was October 26th against Nashville. But you and I talked about this, and it's kind of funny. He's almost like a Getzlaf 2.0 because he's had 11 assists in the last 11 games. So he's doing, stuff on offense in terms of passing and getting other people goals. But I just don't think he's getting into his office as much, Eddie, and getting in front of the net, and that's why maybe he's not scoring as much.
Yeah, I mean, he is shooting an abysmal 6.9% right now, and I don't see it lasting that long. We've seen Perry go on droughts like this before, and then he'll come back and score one, and then he'll start scoring every game after that. I expect him to probably get back up around 10 or 11% eventually. It all just depends when that happens. But I mean, at least he's still contributing offensively. He is tied for the team lead with Getzlaf with 15 points. So at least he's still finding ways to contribute. But he is the guy that we expect to score 30 goals on this team. And he's going to have to get back doing it. Like you said, he hasn't scored in the last 11 games. And that's a long drought to go without scoring a goal for a guy as clinical as he's supposed to be. So, I don't see it lasting too much longer. I think, like I said, it just takes one, and then right from there, the floodgates open, and Perry usually starts going from there. So, hopefully it comes in the next game, but, as long as he's contributing offensively in one way or another, I think right now it's still okay.
And I think it's interesting, too. The other part of Darren's question is about the second line doing, well. And I mean, yeah, if you look at the second line, Kesler, 8 goals, Silfverberg 6 goals, Cogliano 5 goals. So, I mean, Darren brings up a good point. The second line has actually been the best in terms of goals. But if you look at the flip side, the first line's been the best in terms of assists, with Getzlaf having 14 and Perry having 11. So it's kind of a weird mix, to have your second line being, the more goal scoring line, and then having your first line being the more playmaking line. It's kind of interesting because, we're so used to it being more Getzlaf giving it to Perry or whoever's the other winger. I mean, in this case, it's been Nick Ritchie. So it's a good point that he brings up, and Ritchie's got 4 goals, so he's not doing too terrible, but it isn't as much as the second line. The Ducks' second line has really shined this season, Eddie, and it's carried this team in some of these games.
Well, I mean, this is, people might think it's a stretch by saying this, but this is arguably one of the best lines in hockey right now, and
yep.
It might not look that way in goal scoring, but they're doing things at both ends of the ice. They're Kesler +9, Silfverberg +8, Cogliano he's a +6. These guys are playing great defensively. They're getting paired against Connor McDavid. They're getting paired against Jeff Carter the night before. They're getting paired against the New Jersey's top line. They're getting paired against everybody's top opponent every time the Ducks go out and play anybody, and they're not getting scored on. And then they're going out and contributing offensively, and Kessler's leading the team in goals, and Silfverberg had a 4-point night the other night, a couple of games ago, and he's on a tear. Cogliano's cooled down a bit, but he still has 9 points in 19 games as well. So, I mean, they're all playing great right now, and we talked about this. We're going to need secondary scoring, and the second line has been great. We really haven't had them both going at the same time. For a couple of games it seems to be Perry and Getzlaf's line, and then for lately it's been the second line. So if you can get them both going at the same time, then this is going to be a scary team. But it's hard to do that. So it's obviously nice to have two lines going. We talked about this last season. We talked about it when Kesler initially came to the team. You've got that 1-2 punch now, and then you've got Raquel and Vermette as well who are playing good. So the pieces are there. It's just getting everybody going at the same time is going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at that second line, like you said, offense and defense, they're the best line right now for the Ducks, period. And if we can get the other top line going, then things will be better. And then obviously with Raquel and Vermette, they've been doing pretty well on the third line. Obviously Camarosa went out, and then Cosse had to come in, and we'll talk about him in a minute too. So those other two lines, if they can start getting going, like, how the Ducks were towards the second half of last season when we had those three lines, you basically could roll all three of them. I think that's what the Ducks need to do, because that's been some of the issue here lately. In some of these games, people have been asking about, the consistency thing. And we did talk about this on the show last time when we had that question again. I think that's what it is, Eddie, I think it's just within the team. I think the second line has been consistent pretty much for most of the season. Maybe the first couple games, they warmed up and then they've been rolling. But the first and third line are the ones, and it's not always fair either because Getzlaf was injured, Richie was out, the third line's been changed up a little bit. But if they can stay healthy and get those three lines going, I think then the Ducks will be. I mean, they're still in first, but they could really be in the driver's seat going through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it's a difficult thing to really say. If they can get them all going, when they can get them all going, it just happens sometimes, and it's the same with every team. And could the Ducks use another forward to play with in the top six? I think so, but it's not something necessarily they need right now because the production has been so good, and I think it's good that the Ducks can wait to make a decision. We talked about if they struggle again, a Cam Fowler trade or another trade could come sooner than we would hope. But right now it seems like they've kind of calmed that down with the play of the second line and how everybody's been playing. But you look at it right now, the barring the fourth line, they're getting production from pretty much everybody. Vermette's been better than we thought he would. Raquel has come back and he's got 10 points in his first 10 games. So I mean, he's been unbelievable, and we already talked about the other two lines. But you never really expect too much production from your fourth line, so I'm not disappointed in their production. I don't expect Garbett and Wagner and Bold to put up points. They've been disappointing in their play in general because they are the biggest minuses on the Ducks team. But I mean, I can't complain. You're not expecting too much out of them, like I said. So it's nice to have everybody going, but it all depends on when they can all get going together, like I said before. So.
You talk about the fourth line, and that kind of relates to our next question from Eddie Richard. He talks about, who hasn't been playing to their full potential. He also asked another question about Andre Casse, which we'll get to in a second. But as far as the players that are not playing at their potential, and I think you mentioned some of them, it kind of comes from the fourth line. And I mean, you don't expect a lot from the fourth line, like you said, let's be honest. But, Eddie asked the question, Eddie Richard, not you, of course, asked this question. So, but looking at it, yeah, I would say, Bull has been another one that I know a lot of fans are very irritated with. I thought he did very well in that fight he had against Nolan, with the Kings on Sunday. I thought that was a great fight. I mean, he sent that guy to the locker room. So, in terms of that, he seemed to do all right. And some of his fights, we talked about him kind of whatever. But, it's just that's all he really does. I mean, there's not a lot to his game. So you have that. You have Wagner, who hasn't been as physical. I'd like to see him get some more of his monster checks that we're all used to. And then, Garbett. Garbett last year had contributed, scoring some goals and stuff, and he's been kind of quiet. So there's a handful of guys there that, like you said, we don't expect a lot from them, but I mean, they all three of those guys could give a little. And then defensively, it goes back to Bieksa. I mean, you already know we talked about Bieksa and what's going on with him. So those are the guys that I would look at, Eddie. What do you think? Same guys or anybody different?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, everybody else has played at what we expected of them or better in the case of guys like Vermette and Silfverberg and even Richie to say. I mean, he only does have 5 points, but he's been at about where we expected of him. Obviously, we would like him to eventually take that step forward because he is a 10th overall pick. But I think he's making some good strides in his game. He's playing good possession numbers. He's hitting everybody to that move. So I think he's been all right. But yeah, it really is Jared Bull who is only there to fight. And he, like you said, he's won some, he's lost some. But there's a reason you don't see that many guys in the league anymore that all they do is fight, because there's no place for them anymore. It doesn't make sense to have a guy like that on your team. It doesn't add anything. You're almost playing with 11 guys because all he's going to do is go out there and fight. I mean, there's a reason he's -6 and he's the biggest minus on the Ducks team is because he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't contribute defensively. He doesn't contribute offensively. He throws a couple big hits and then he fights somebody, and that's all he does. And I mean, I don't want to be negative and be rude to the guy, but it didn't make sense when we got him in the first place. It doesn't make sense that he's still in the lineup. There's guys that we could call up and play in his place. We call up Andre Casse, and I liked his energy and how he's played. If we've got guys down in the minors, I'd rather have Stefan Nason or anybody like that come up and play in his place. And it's not to say that he's played worse than we thought. This is what we expected of him. It's just disappointing. And then, like you said, again with Bieksa too. I mean, when he was in Vancouver, he looked pretty good, and even last year he looked okay in the Ducks jersey. And this year, he seems a step slower. He's been the most disappointing for me this season. Every time I see him, he's either getting blown by or he's getting beat by somebody, and he's still playing. Like, he played 5 minutes of power play time against the Kings. 5 minutes.
Why?
I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, obviously Holtzer's a guy in the lineup but I would rather have Manson on the power play than Bieksa. I'd rather, like, Theodore was a healthy scratch in that game. If Bieksa was even sick the night before, could put Theodore in there and play him 5 minutes on the power play. It doesn't make sense. I mean, he's not a power play guy. He's barely a penalty kill guy anymore. He's not doing much for the team, so it's been disappointing for him especially because we're paying him $4 million a season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said, and I know, like I mentioned this before, all the people that sit around me, I'm in a new section this season, and I hear it from everybody, and they're like, talk about this on the show, talk about this, like, I always crack up. I'm like, don't worry, we're gonna get to it. But yeah, I agree. I for some reason with Bieksa, he just looks slower and stuff, and I know some people were worried about the expansion draft. We talked about this before. He is waiving his no movement clause for purposes of the expansion draft. That is in the rules that can happen. So, the Ducks will have to try to, protect, like we said, 3 of the other 4 guys, Vatanen, Fowler, Manson, and Lindholm. So we'll have to figure that out, which, we'll talk about that when it gets closer to the trade deadline and all of that. But yeah, it's just been frustrating. I think Bieksa and Bull are the 2 that I hear from a lot of the fans that, they're just not happy with. But, the other part of Eddie Richards' question here is also about Kase, and I have to actually be very impressed with him. I mean, he took a good run at Doughty in that game. He's been flying on the ice. He's been out there with Vermette and Raquel. He looks good. I mean, he's only played a couple of games. It's early. It's hard to tell. But from what I've seen, I like the energy that he provides. He plays a pretty good two-way game. And he starts, playing more physical too. So I like this kid, and I hope that we see a lot of him throughout this season, Eddie.
Yeah, he makes a lot of good decisions. He's a quick guy. He's creative. I would rather have him up for every game that Bulls played this season. I mean, for a guy who's drafted in the 7th round, he looks really good. He's played well for the Gulls this season. He's got 7 points in 9 games so far. He's got an assist in his first 3 with the Ducks. So I think he's looked good so far. I mean, I'm not expecting him to come up here and just start lighting it up. I mean, this is his first 3 NHL games. I mean, there's not much more you can ask from the guy. He's played with energy. He's only played limited ice time, other than him playing 16 minutes against Arizona. He's played 8 minutes against Pittsburgh and 10 against LA. So he's not playing a significant amount of ice time. But every shift he goes out there, you notice him. He's doing something every shift. He's playing with energy. So I like how he's been so far.
Yeah, I agree. More energy, the better. And like you said, a lot more positives than Bull's been bringing. But I hope he plays up there a lot more. And, this week there was another move that was made. There was an actual trade made. And we have Michael asks about the Sarbosa-Shaw trade, which, it's a smaller trade. It's not an earth-shattering move, that happened. It was kind of an interesting one. And he asks us, whether or not it's a good or bad trade. And, we talk about these trades. Obviously, you can't really analyze a trade when it just happened and say it's good or bad, but I can, go into what we think about it. And it just seems to me that this trade, Eddie, was just more about a size issue. I mean, they got Shaw, who's a bigger guy. He's 3 inches taller than Sarbosa. He's, almost 20 pounds heavier. And he's played a little bit more in the NHL. He's got 50 plus games, where Sarbosa has 19. So it's a little bit more experience and a little bit bigger. That's the only thing I can really see out of this trade. I don't really think it's going to affect the team one way or another, because Shaw is already assigned to the Gulls. He didn't have to pass through waivers or anything like that. So, I mean, I kind of like Sarbosa. I kind of wanted to keep him, but I don't think this trade is really going to affect the team, too much.
No, I mean, they're about the same age, other than Sarbosa being a center and Shaw being a winger, and then Shaw being a little bit bigger. There's not much. I mean, throughout his career, when you're looking at his stats, he's been more of a goal scorer. I mean, that's not to say he's an elite goal scorer, but he's put up more goals more often than assists. So it seems to be that he must have a good shot, and he's a guy with size. But he's right now he's an AHLer or borderline fourth liner, and that's what we expect from him. And it would be nice to see him go down and play well with the goals. And if he gets a chance this season, maybe he comes up and he takes Bull's spot on the fourth line.
You and that Bull, man.
I don't hate it. I mean, the Ducks center depth isn't great, so it didn't make a ton of sense trading away Scarbosa. Not that Scarbosa was an elite center by any means. But for trading away a guy that can play center for a guy that can't, and the goals don't have a ton of center depth either. It's a little bit confusing, but I think the Ducks are fine right now up in the NHL level with obviously with Getzlaf, Kesler, and Vermette. So I think they're fine there. So I'm not disappointed. It'll be interesting to see how Shaw does here, and it'll be interesting to see how Scarbosa does with Springfield. So he scored in his first game for the Panthers AHL team. So we'll see how both of them doing. I mean, it's not going to be a trade that the Ducks are going to regret making or they're going to love making down the road. It's more so just an AHL or fourth line kind of depth move.
Yeah, exactly. And both of them are making about the same amount of money, so there's not really any effect on the cap space either there. So that's what you have as far as what's going on in that trade. And then, we have Cameron. He asks a whole bunch of different questions and things all related into the goals. So we'll kind of go into some of these different things here. But the goals have been on a little bit of a winning streak here. They've won 4 games in a row. And our writer Thomas has his other articles he's been doing. He's been doing these bi-weekly articles on the goals, which we're going to have that one put out in the next day or so, talking about how they've been doing. It's going to go over all the stuff that's going on in the last 2 weeks. But they've been on a roll. The one thing that did come up, though, is that they're not going to play on the 22nd and the 23rd. Some of the, I guess, unfortunate news is Craig Cunningham of the AHL Coyotes team actually collapsed during the national anthem on a game just a couple days ago. So the Gulls were slated to play that team for those 2 days, and it's just an unfortunate thing, Eddie. But they canceled the game, and obviously thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. I mean, we saw it happen in the NHL level with Rich Peverley for the Dallas Stars a couple seasons ago when he collapsed on the bench and it ended his career. I mean, he said he was lucky to be alive, and thanked everybody that was on the staff and everything with the Stars. So, like you said, what we've always heard really, and what I saw on NHL.com is that he's in stable but still critical condition. So, prayers go out to his family and everybody, all his teammates at the game, everybody that had to witness that, and it's a tough thing to go through. And I think it's a good call for them to just to take the next few games off and just let this kind of play out.
Yeah, exactly. And the goals are going to be, they're going to be off, through the Thanksgiving break, and then they'll be back in action on Saturday against Bakersfield, and then against Ontario on Sunday against the Reign. So, like I said, we'll have an article talking about what's been going on the last couple of weeks. Thomas will have that. So just look for that, and it'll recap what's been going on. But, like we said, we just hope everything works out well for the Craig Cunningham and his family. With that, we have one last question, kind of an interesting one, Eddie, from Steven. He asks, can we vote for Stoner to be in the All-Star game? And there was some news that came out about the NHL All-Star game, that they changed some of the rules, and they're calling it the John Scott rule, I guess, or the John Scott anti-rule. I don't know. They're changing all this stuff up because of what happened last season, which to me actually worked out in the league's favor. So they're looking to not have someone elected as captain that's gonna either be injured or get sent to the minor league. So that's kind of what's the new situation now. So I guess you could vote for Stoner, Eddie, and try and put him in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I was happy with how it all played out last year, but when he was first voted in captain and voted even into the All-Star game, I think it's just, like, I get it, the All-Star game has been boring and it's been just crappy as of late, but I mean, it's there because players are supposed to be rewarded for playing well. And I get everybody rallied behind him, but let's be honest, nobody's kidding ourselves. This started as a joke, and it worked out in everybody's favor in the end.
Yep.
But it's a one-time thing with a special guy that it just worked out for. Like, John Scott's a great guy, and I'm glad it worked out for him, but I don't want to see it happen again. I would like to see the best players and the guys that deserve to go. They're guys who are having good seasons. It might not be superstars, but they're having a good season. They deserve to go there. Again, I still don't like how the voting is, and we were talking about this before, but it's a popularity contest. Yeah, they fixed it, so you at least you get one guy from each of your team, but you could get like 5 guys from the Blackhawks there, just because there's a ton of Blackhawks fans. So you can get 5 guys from the Kings there. You can get like maybe not 5, but you know what I mean. You get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Like, it's a popularity contest, and some guys might miss out, and they could having good seasons. Like, we all hope. For me, Mark Scheifele should be there, and he probably will be there because he's leading the NHL in points. But he's not a quote-unquote superstar when you compare them to Crosby and other guys in the league, but he should be there. The guys like Alex Galchenyuk, Patrick Laine, even Artem Anisimov, the top 10 guys in the league right now, guys you wouldn't always expect to be at the All-Star game, but right now are proving that they deserve to be there. These are the guys that should be there. And the voting still isn't perfect, and it still doesn't do that. I don't know how they can fix it. Maybe limit it to voting for the guys in the top 50 or 100 for points per game or something like that. I don't know how they could do it, but we'll have to see how it works out. And I hope it doesn't happen this year, but you never know. The same people who voted Lamlin last year are going to be voting this year. So, yeah, I don't know.
So we can vote in Stoner still. So, hey,
so
there you go.
Saying there's a chance.
Exactly. We know it won't be Getzlaf, right? So, no.
God.
But anyways. But no, yeah, they're changing the rules and doing what they're trying to do to keep it a certain way. But I agree with you. They need to do something where they need to limit it to I think a certain range of players. The ones like you said that are deserving of going. I mean, otherwise, if it's going to be a fan thing, then you're going to go the other way and let people vote for whoever they want for whatever team, and it's just going to be chaos. So I think that they need to get it a little bit more tightened up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. And with that, the Ducks are going to be back in action this week. They're still going to be at home. They're playing the Islanders, the Blackhawks, and the Black Friday game, as we've known to call it now. And then they'll be going to San Jose on Saturday. So you got 3 games to talk about coming up here. The Ducks already lost to the Islanders 3-2 in overtime earlier this season. And, looking at these games, I mean, obviously you're going to circle the Chicago Blackhawk one. And, there's going to be a bazillion people at that game, as it always is. That was a big one. And San Jose is going to be another good one, too. The Ducks already lost to San Jose 2-1 in an overtime loss as well. So, some big games, Eddie. I mean, this week it's going to be a little bit tougher. I mean, last couple of weeks we've thought the Ducks were going to win 2 out of 3. I'm hoping they win 2 out of 3 this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they only pull out 1. I mean, it's going to be a battle with these 3 teams. The Islanders play them tough. Chicago's on fire. And, of course, San Jose always plays the Ducks tough.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. This first game, it has to be a must-win for the Ducks. I mean, the Islanders are the worst team in the Eastern Conference. They haven't won a game on the road all season. They're 0-4-1. They're 2-4-4 in their last 10. This is a team who's playing awful right now, who can't win on the road. You're playing them at home. You're going to get all the matchups. Jonathan Tavares is still healthy, so they're still a dangerous team, but you have to win this game.
Yes, I agree.
The way they're playing, the position that they're in, and if you're considering yourselves the top team, one of the top teams in the Western Conference, or even in the Pacific Division, you have to beat a team like this who's struggling and can't win on the road. So I think they have to go out and win this game. Obviously, the game against Chicago is going to be tough. Chicago's actually getting pumped 4-0 right now by Edmonton. So, well, maybe they're slowing down a bit. But, that's going to be probably the toughest game of the week. Chicago is the best team in the Western Conference right now. They're sitting at 13-4-2 right now, and they're playing extremely well. So this is going to be a tough game for sure. And then obviously, playing San Jose anytime is a physical and tough game. But then playing them right after playing a tough game against Chicago, I mean, if they can get 2 or 3 points out of those games, that will be huge. So I mean, you definitely got to say the Islanders is a must-win, but it'll be interesting to see how they handle this back-to-back against the Blackhawks and the Sharks.
Yeah, I look at the Islanders game like I look at the Kings game. I mean, you said all these things about them being bad on the road and being down the dumps, and that's how I felt when we went to the Kings game, and it was like a trap game almost. So I hope the Ducks don't look ahead. I hope they just focus on the Islanders, focus on coming out and playing a stronger game than they did against LA, and they win that one because, like you said, you really want to win that game before going to play Chicago. And then I think this is an interesting thing because this has come up too. Some people have talked about the goalie situation and Bernier and Gibson and people still bring up Anderson. I don't know why he's not on the Ducks anymore, but I hear that from some people as well. But anyways, going into this, it's back to back. Who do you go with? Do you go with Gibson against Chicago or Bernier? What do you think?
I think it might depend on one who plays against the Islanders, and we probably assume it's Gibson.
Right,
he's gonna
right.
play against the Islanders. I mean, he didn't play awful against the Kings, so I mean, it's hard to criticize him. So I think he probably comes out and plays against the Islanders, and then maybe it depends on how he plays there. And if they decide to give Bernier the tough game against the Blackhawks, I don't know. Maybe I don't know either guy's past numbers against either team, and that usually plays a factor in this too. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I feel like Gibson probably gets to start against Chicago if they want to go. Chicago is the tougher team statistics-wise right now, but San Jose is also the Pacific Division team. And which game is really more important to you standings-wise right now? So it's a tough call. They're both. You can make a case for both goalies in either game right now. So I mean, maybe we can make a better call after the Islanders game, but even then, I still think it's a toss-up on who could start in either game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Me personally, I kind of would go with Bernier against Chicago. Really, I just would. I think that he's been playing pretty good. He hasn't played as much, but I would put him out there. Like you said, you want to beat San Jose. You want to get those 4 points. Let Gibson play San Jose. That's kind of my thinking. I mean, I won't be mad if it goes the other way, but I just think it's an interesting situation because Bernier is actually, not done too poorly. And, in this game against LA, like you said, a couple of those goals are power play goals in which the defense, shorthanded and Gibson got burnt. So I don't really blame Gibson. He didn't play great, but he didn't play terrible in that game against LA. So that's something I would do. I just think it's kind of interesting. I've seen some articles out there saying, that, Bernier should get some more playing time. And, I mean, Gibson is still number one, but I would like to see Bernier get a couple more games that he means, obviously back to back. He's going to play in one of these. So that'll be something to monitor as this week comes up. And then, of course, obviously the health of some of the players too, as well. We don't know, Stoner has a lower body injury. We don't know when he's coming back this week. BX has been sick. So Theodore's up. He may come in this week. We don't know for sure. Kasse is up, and he may stay in too with, Camarosa being out. So some things to watch this week in terms of the lineup. Hopefully everybody else stays healthy, but it's going to be interesting. And the only real other big news going on this week in the league, Eddie, is Las Vegas is going to announce the team name. So we're going to finally know who or what they're going to be called. And if you look, there's a website. It's kind of like ours. I mean, we have Ducks and Pucks for the Ducks. There's a Sinbin for the Las Vegas team. And if you go to sinbin.vegas, it's kind of a weird URL, but I mean, that's how it is. You go on there, they have a thing on there where they look at this logo and they think what it may be, and they think it's like a V, and they talk about the word Knights and everything again. So, they're thinking it might be a form of that, but I mean, we just don't know, Eddie, but I can't wait because it's going to be over and we'll all know, as of right now it's Monday, but as of Tuesday, we will know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice to know all the rumors and all the false reports and stuff that have been floating around. Apparently, like the owner was floating out false names to throw people off, and it'll be nice to have all that over with and just finally know. I mean, I really hope it's not the Desert Knights. I'm not a huge fan of that name. I mean, in the end, I don't really care what they're called. It'll just be nice to have it over. It'll be interesting to see the direction they decided to go in, but Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice to have it over. I hope too that they have the jerseys released tomorrow or some kind of logo that we also get to see with the name. It'd be kind of disappointing if all we find out tomorrow is just the name and there's no jersey or logo concept. But I'm sure if they've got the name, they've been thinking of jersey color and logo and everything along with it. So, yeah, it'll be cool to hear what it is tomorrow.
Yeah, because according to the website, it looks like they've thrown out Black Knights, which you knew was the issue before with the London team, obviously in your backyard. And they also have Silver Knights and Desert Knights. So I don't know. We've heard a bunch of this and night that. I don't know. But there's that, being floated around. And on the website, they have the colors as gold, black, and red. So you may want to look for that. That if they do present, like you said, the uniforms tomorrow, which you would hope they would do it all in one big shot, and not just go, "Hey, here's the name." You'd think they do everything, but those are some things to look for, and we'll see what the name is, and it'll be good. It'll be exciting to see what they're going to come up with, and finally have it done, and then next season obviously get rolling here. So that's the only real big news this week. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, so we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're with your family and your friends, and you have a safe holiday season. Enjoy the Ducks. Obviously this week over the holiday weekend, and we'll be back next week with another show. And let's go Ducks.